Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kirby's Epic Yarn playthrough, walkthrough, whatever the hell you want to be calling it. So, surprisingly enough, this is actually going to be the last part that we are going to be spending on Heartland. Yes, it's actually over with quicker than Grassland was. I think that's just because I had much smoother runs of everything. And also, some of the levels are just shorter. It's the way it rolled. I mean, I think the only world where there are actually fewer levels than anything else is in about 2 levels' time. Or 2 worlds' time, really. Because I'm pretty sure that there are only 4 levels and then the boss. Which is actually the same as everything else, but it just feels a hell of a lot quicker. It's weird. It's very, very weird, because all the levels, well, all the worlds are consistent in having 4 levels, then a boss, and then 2 bonuses. But for some reason, the world I'm talking about just feels so much shorter. But either way, you know how we're in a desert world, or lava world? We've now got dinosaurs in this rather wonderful grassy place, and it's just wonderful. I think I'm probably going to keep returning to the fact of Kirby's Epic Yarn has a lot of variety in its level design, and it's truly wonderful. Because it means that these worlds never get samey. They constantly bring something new to the table. And that's what you want in a platformer. Because all too often, you end up in situations where, as I've said, pretty well, in the last part alone, you end up in situations where you just keep playing levels that just seemingly start to become identical. And that's just not quite so fun. And I mean, I love this level, it's great fun. Obviously I'm not playing hugely well right now, but I'll pick it back up, don't you worry. But, yeah. And here's another thing that I should probably bring up about Epic Yarn, and that's the fact that in quite a few levels, not all of them, but in some, you end up in situations where you need to make a decision between, do I want those beads or do I want the collectibles? Certain levels will definitely force you to make that decision than others. It really is just a case of knowing which levels require that to be the case. And also, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I think I thought I needed something, and then really didn't. Random stuff happens when you're trying to play a game like this. You just sort of gotta roll with it, really. I mean, it's just one of those games where you just have a nice chill time playing it and just kind of not worry about how well you're playing or whether you're getting hit. You just roll with it. And just rather peacefully make the decision of, do I want those beads? Do I want the treasure? In pretty much most instances, in most levels, you have enough beads in the whole stretch of the level to be able to get all of the collectibles and the gold rank at the end of it. But there are certain levels where it isn't possible. I mean, one of the levels that, well, what in the land, not the next land, the land after, which I was referring to in it being seeming really short. That one in particular has a level which is really difficult. It's another of those really difficult ones to gold rank, but you pretty much have to make a choice between, do I want the collectibles or do I want the beads to get the gold rank? And then there is that Alfroda level that I think is infamous in Epic Yarn. It's largely because, to me, it is infamous. Oh god, that level. But that is another excellent instance of you having to make a decision between beads and collectibles, because you, in that one at least, you categorically cannot get both in the same run. So, even though obviously Epic Yarn is nice and simple and easy, there is a process of, a thought process that you are going to have to go through if you want to try and go for a perfect rank, really, and getting the completion. That said, it is much easier to complete than Woolly World, which, as much as I enjoyed Woolly World, it became a little bit tedious to try and complete because there was so much to collect and try and get to the end of the level with, and that just became a little bit frustrating. And because it was the slower pace that Epic Yarn also has, it slowed the game down to a crawl when you've only got a few collectibles to get and the levels are pretty contained to about 5-10 minutes at the most. It's just a much more chill experience, and I'm certainly more fond of a chill experience rather than a slow, more challenging one. But maybe I'm just odd in that thought process. Because obviously there are gamers out there that really like a challenge. I mean, the fact that the Dark Souls series is so popular just proves that there are many people out there who really like a bit of challenge, and the fact that Epic Yarn got so heavily lambasted for its lack of challenge proves that people really do want to have something to fight up against. But I will continue to advocate for there being a relaxing game of sorts every now and again, because they do serve a very good purpose, and they can be a lot of fun. That said, fighting this boss fight, which is called Hot Wings, because, you know, it's a chicken and its wings are literally on fire, which is hilarious. He isn't quite so relaxing, because he's going to be coming down on either side of the arena. He's going to be firing these birds at you, and you have got to be on the ball with collecting all of the beads if you want to get to that patch. I mean, thankfully he is certainly easier to do than Fangora, because Fangora you have to be, well, just attack, like, putting the button to harm Fangora wasn't really enough to get enough beads. Whereas in order to get Hot Wings to a point where you can pull the button, you have to hit him with his bird things. So you are automatically going to be in a position of getting more beads than you probably actually need, to be fair. And I mean, especially if you try and go through at least one more loop than you actually need to, i.e. attack him with one of the birds, but then don't pull the button, then you will guarantee that you are going to be in a position to have enough beads by the end of the fight. It does just unfortunately mean you are going to be waiting around a little bit longer than maybe you would have wanted to. Also, that was just a dick move, Hot Wings. A major, major dick move. Also, I was quite surprised that I was able to just sit underneath him, and that was just like, oh, that works. I will go with that. Either way, we've beaten Hot Wings, we've got enough beads for the patch, and I think that is a job well done.
We did it! We got a piece of the magic yarn. The magic yarn shimmered and spiraled and swirled high into the sky. The yarn weaved its way into the fabric of the kingdom and stitched two pieces of patchland together. Meanwhile, back in Dreamland, the Waddle-Dees were very busy inside Castle DDD. Faster! Keep going! No lounging around, barked King DDD. Just then, the king noticed that one of his Waddle-Dees looked a little... strange. That Waddle-Dee was actually one of Yin Yarn's creations. Yeah, soon Dreamland will be wrapped around my knitting needles, Yin Yarn cackled. What sort of plan was he stringing together?
Stringing together. That is what that pun deserves, and that is all it is getting. Either way, we got that patch, so we're going to go into the first of the bonus levels for Hotland, which is Temper Temple, which is a really quite interesting level. I mean, essentially you are going to be using the fire engine for pretty much the entire level. Well, of course you're using it for the entire level, that's what these bonus levels are for. But the main gimmick is that you are going to be in an auto-scroller, so you're going to be on this moving platform, which is just going to continually take you forward, as, you know, happens in an auto-scroller. So you have got to be very, very on it when it comes to using your water to bring the beads down to you and to defeat the enemies. Because you're going to have these embers, which are obviously embers, but they're made of yarn, because it's epic yarn. Thumbs up. You are also going to have ember condas, because ember anacondas, obviously. And I believe that most, if not all, of the treasures are located inside ember condas. So try and make sure to defeat all of them if you can, because I'm pretty sure that they are all located inside ember condas. You can't necessarily see which ones house the treasures, but it's really not that difficult to get them all, so you just gotta roll with it, really. think the only thing that I find rather frustrating about this level is that so you control the water flow of the fire engine with the Wiimote's motion controls, which is all well and good, but sometimes it just doesn't quite flow where you want it to, or turn as much as you would like. It's something that becomes particularly frustrating in a later level requiring the fire engine, because it just ends up being rather mean. But this is one of the more frustrating bits for anybody who wants to try and get 100% in Epic Yarn, in this level at least anyway. Because the platforms that you're on will obviously split and move apart. And it's very difficult to know which one you need to be standing on to get all of the bonus items. I believe there is enough time to switch should you be on the wrong one, but pretty much stand on the red one for now, because that will allow you to get that bonus star, and then eventually you will move on to the next one. Or at least you won't be standing on the right hand side one in a little bit, because they start to go left and right, and you can only get stuff if I think you take the left one. And you really do have to make that decision rather quickly, and it will affect how things go. Because as you can see, there is the point where they split. So if you were on the left hand side one, you would not be getting this final bonus star piece. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure you can still hit that Ember Conda, so you can get your final treasure. It's just that bonus star piece that is your collectible that you need to be on the left hand side for. I mean, to be fair, I don't really need to get all of the bonus star pieces, or bonus wheel pieces, I suppose is probably what I should call them, but we've gotten into the habit of bonus star pieces, so I'm going to go with that. So I don't need it, but it's just nice to have that complete wheel at the end of the level. It's just much more satisfying to see, obviously. And obviously, I mean, if you're playing through the game, you may be in a situation where you don't have nearly as many beads. I mean, really, in this level, you should have as many beads because it's really not difficult to get them. But in other levels, it's much more difficult to acquire beads. So, having the full wheel at the end puts you in much greater stead, really, for getting that gold rank. And meaning you don't have to replay the level like I will certainly have to do at some points throughout this walkthrough, playthrough, thingy, whatever. I should probably just start calling them Let's Plays, because that's basically what they are. I just was rather stubborn when I started, and I was just like, no, I want to have a nice clear method for when you can see a 100% game commentary and a not 100% game commentary. So that's where I have the walkthrough playthrough distinction. But then you end up in situations with games like this, and how I've covered them, where it's a mostly 100% run, i.e. I am going to aim to get all of the treasures and all of the gold medals. However, I'm not going to do all of the bonus missions with all of the tenants, because that is just long and tedious, and nobody really wants to see that stuff. So it is a walkthrough, but it is also not a walkthrough, so it's confusing. Either way, we have this wonderful off-roader mission, Dusk Dunes, which I just absolutely love. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that the music for this level and for all of the off-roader sections is called Dusk Dunes, so Yeah, it's easily one of my favourite tracks in the game. It's just so much fun. It's such high energy, and oh, it's great. I mean, it's also arguably the soundtrack of my nightmares, but what can you do? And by saying it's the soundtrack of my nightmares, I mean the fact of this music plays throughout the mission that endlessly frustrates me. I love it to pieces, but I also hate it with a passion. Either way, we won. We very, very, very safely have our gold rank. We only get one measly bead from that, but we've collected everything. So, this brings us to the end of Hotland. Hell yes! Haha! And so, with all of that done, it is pretty much time for us to head on to the third world of Kirby's Epic Yarn. And that is going to be the particularly wonderful Treatland, which, obviously, it's Treatland, so it's going to be all toys and sweets and just, oh, it's going to be wonderful. And before we go any further, just look at that, it's beautiful, isn't it? But with that done, let's head on to Treatland. Hell yeah!